check. Hey, good morning. Good morning, everybody. How is everybody? It's Wednesday, June 7th. This is kind of a morbid anniversary for good old Springfield, Missouri. But it's also an anniversary for me as well. Not a wedding anniversary, nothing important, but my one of my old band's first show was on this day, and also coincidentally, it's also the same evening at the Springfield Missing 3 disappeared. Those who don't know about that, just Google Springfield, Missouri Missing 3. You can kind of see what's going on. All right, so good morning. Let's see what we're going to talk about today. I've been in deep thought. We did I don't know if you guys missed it. So Monday afternoon, I did a live feed talking about Struggle is Real 2023, and that was fun. That was good. I thought that went very well. And but today we're going to talk about trucking stuff if you want, for the most part, yeah. So anyways, I hope all is well. I don't, it was kind of funny. I needed something specific on booking a load yesterday, and it was, I got good money for it, but it was a bit of a struggle volume wise. And when you have to have your search pretty narrow, that's where the low volumes kind of get you. So, and that's where you lose a little bit of leverage with negotiating, right? But it was funny. There was a load that I was trying to book. They were only paying $1,700 on it for 1,000 miles, and I ended up getting $3,300 for 1,000 miles. Well, closer to 1,100. They wanted 17 for 1,000, but I got 33 for 11. And my methods of negotiating did not work with this with this particular broker. And the brokerage, I won't blast them on here, but they're especially in the reefer world, they're very well known to not budge but $100. And they're always about 20% less than what your averages show, regardless of whatever load board you're on. And so I thought that was, you got to try, right? I mean, well, this load would work perfect, and you got to hold your ground. I mean, you got to hold your ground at some point, because I knew I was going to be able to move the truck. It may not be perfectly what we needed, but I'm not going to take a huge loss just for a particular broker's sake. So, but anyways, good morning. I hope all is well with the world. And yeah, so let's take a look here. Let's take a look at the comments here, and then I want to talk. I want to have a conversation about a dedicated worker. Okay, all right. It's a conversation I had with a couple of people the other day. We'll get into that. So, Bull of the Woods, good morning. WCF Invader, I saw that you were a part of that shaving thing. I steered way clear of that because it's going to take a lot of money for this to come off, and also it won't be for any charity other than my ammo fund. So, Desert Okie Pam, good morning. CB from Wyoming. Been a minute since I've been up there. Jeremy Rice, good morning. This Tour Life. Good morning, Jason. Hope you're doing well. Jason, go to my video, go to my community page, and click on the video with the Coca-Cola lobbyist, and then that'll kind of open your eyes. Jeremy Rice, it is Hump Day. Cowardly Lion, hello. Renato Madrigal. Sorry if I've butchered your name. Good morning. That name sounds familiar to me, though. CDN, Freight Boker, good morning. Fifth, you are fifth. Jay Fisher, good morning. Old school, new school, home for about 2 weeks, watching on the TV. Well, I'm uglier on a big screen, aren't I? Is like you can see everything, right? Grafton, good morning. Good morning. Just curious what's down here in Miami for me, van trailer. We can take a look at that, Nathaniel. Hold sign will work for trucking rates. If I don't get to it here in a minute, Nathaniel, remind me, right? Flatbed trucker, good morning. Urban Network Trucking Podcast. Hold sign will work for trucking rates. Isn't that what we're all doing, right? Kansas City to Fulton water loads have been creeping up here lately, seeing them starting at 550 now and day of as high as 650 here lately. They're still a little bit low, though. Thomas Wilson says Venmo. Are you checking? I don't see anything on Venmo yet. Venmo is great. But Thomas Wilson, good to see you. Rockin' Robin, good morning. Bull of Woods, would you shave it off for 1,000? Nope. I'll check it out. Good deal. Nope. It's going to take a 5-digit number to get this baby off because my wife loves the beard. So happy wife, happy life. That's how it works, right? So, but if I took it off for a 5-digit number, I think she'll live with me for a minute, right? So DL Mallory, good morning. How are you doing, man? How is the new gig doing? I want to tell you guys the story, and then we'll get into a low board. Let's see what you sent me. See if I can open it up. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong. Do I have it on this phone there, Thomas? Nope, it's not on this one. Let me check this. What did you do, Thomas? Oh, wow. Thank you, Thomas. I appreciate it. You are a good man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. I salute you. I'm going to toast this Peterbilt coffee mug to you. No, Bull of Woods. That's not how it works, man. That's not how it works. Fantastic, very steady, good deal. This is not how it works. 5-digit. Well, if you want to count decimal points, then it needs to be 8 digits or 6 digits. Yeah, 8 digits. Hell, it's going to take a lot of money, TJ. My conversation with a carnivore trucker, he was doing this challenge. If he got down to a certain weight, he was going to trim the beard. And I'm like, you really want to do that? He's like, no, I'm gonna change that. So that shave for charity must have given you nightmares, but a blue or black color in the beard would look cool. I have the black streaks, but they're slowly disappearing. Every time I talk to a broker, the beard gets a little bit grayer. So every time I talk to a driver that doesn't know their cost, it grows a little grayer. And so that brings me to my next point. So I was having a conversation with somebody, and you go, who's a good candidate for a lease truck? Like, if I'm going to go out and buy a lease truck. If I'm going to go out and buy a truck and lease it to somebody, do a lease purchase to somebody, I'm becoming the bank. I've got the capital to do it, that kind of thing. Let's say that happens. I can't go out and buy a new truck to save my life if I wanted to, but let's just pretend I can. And so somebody comes up to me and goes, "Hey man, I've been with my company for 6 years. I am I've I've dedicated. I'm dedicated. I work hard. I do what it takes, and I'm willing to stay out. I'm willing to stay out during holidays. I'm willing to to to, to just sacrifice, right? And then also um I'm religious, I'm a man of God, and I've got good moral standing. So I'm a good person, and I'm a hard worker, right? Now, a business person will go, "Well, are you a good business person?" Can you answer that question? And see, here's the thing with all these leasing companies, like, and the ones where we don't have to name names. They've got the big, they're the ones that you're having to pass in the left lane. They're the ones that are, in elephant races on the highway with each other. They love, 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 love take advantage of people not doing their numbers, not becoming great business people. Because here's the thing. So if you go and lease a truck, let's say your credit's shot, right? And so, but you desperately want to be an owner op. So you go lease a truck over at one of these big companies. And let's say you complete 2 leases. I knew a couple of people at Schneider that completed leases, right? And you go, and you wonder why they don't go to the bank and get another truck, get their own truck. Well, because they have no credit. Even though they've just completed 2 leases, they don't have credit. Why? Because the leasing companies don't report to the credit bureau. Have you ever stopped and wondered why they don't report to the credit bureau? Because if you built your credit, you cannot be a slave to them. If you're able to build your credit and expand beyond their platform, they don't want that. And in this conversation about talking about this dedicated person, the conversation came up that, well, this guy's trapped in this lease. You're not trapped. No one's got a gun to your head. They're going to threaten you with big amounts of money that you owe if you give up your lease. And in some ways you will lose that money, but if they don't report to the credit bureau, are they really going to go after you? But the reality is that no one reads their contract. That's how they get you. That's how they take advantage of you. Is that they literally go, "Hey, you're dedicated to your craft. You're a hard worker. You're a great driver. You seem like a person with good morals. Don't worry about reading that contract." And because you're a trusting person, you fall for it. See, here's how business is working these days. Okay. If you are uneducated, unwilling to learn, unwilling to read, you are prime target. You are a prime target to be taken advantage of, because they're going to manipulate you through your emotions. They're going to tell you things like, "Oh, you can sign on with us and get one of our brand new lease trucks with the shiny chrome and the shiny lights and the 9 miles to the gallon and the refrigerator and the free satellite, you know, and just work for us. You're going to be a big bad owner operator." Well, you're a lease operator, but no, you're going to be a business owner. Now, there are people that complete these leases. There are people that treat it like a business, but that is rare. It is not the norm. They count on you not doing your homework. They count on you not doing the math. Sometimes they'll do the math for you. I know somebody that was at a big carrier doing a lease. I know several people at this one carrier. And they had accountants in-house that would do these numbers for you. But they would do it in a way that shows you that you're making money. Meanwhile, they can't go home because they can't afford to pay their home bills. So don't be a person that could easily be taken advantage of. And that's why I always say the number one thing that you can do is control your emotions. Don't let somebody sell you something based off of fear or emotional manipulation. There are literally thousands of stories of where something goes bad because they were able to be sold on that. Now, is it easy to go get a truck from a bank? Absolutely not. I don't care what your credit is. It's difficult. Especially if you want a new truck. And it should be difficult, because if it was so easy, banks would be overrun with they're about to be overrun with trucks coming back. And so just keep that in mind, because if I'm a guy that buys trucks, like let's say, some millionaire decides to give me a bunch of money and, hey, start yourself a leasing company, become the bank to these drivers. I'm going to look for someone that's dedicated, that's willing to not go home, that's willing to treat the truck first above all else. Someone that thinks that they're good moral people. Now, on the flip side of that, let's reveal something here. See if I can find the email. Now, my YouTube shorts, I showed this. Let's remove this comment here. This was on a Facebook group. This is why I don't put anybody in my truck. Okay? If I decide that I'm not going to drive officially, I will sell it outright. This guy says, I'm an owner op, but if I was a company driver, I would not make it clear that I would not even change a light bulb unless I feel like waiting 2 to 3 hours to get it fixed. You guys are funny, wanting a driver to perform like an owner operator. Nobody is going to make me carry anything. The owner can put whatever tools and spare parts he wants in the truck. That doesn't mean I will use them. If I break something, you can either fire me or not, but don't expect me to fix it or pay for it. There's thousands of companies hiring truck drivers. What makes you think your company is so special? And this was a response to somebody who was asking, what kind of spare parts should I put in my trucks? I just bought 3 of them, and I'm putting drivers in them. This is a normal mentality with a lot of people. And the fact that shows entitlement, that shows that they're not dedicated, that shows that they're, you know, they're not looking out for the company's best interests. So you have the polar opposite, because here's the thing, whether you want to lease trucks to people or you want to hire company drivers, the reality is like, you can have a business plan, you can have a perfectly formulated business plan, which no one knows how to do. But anyways, you're going to have one formulated, right? I'm going to buy 2 trucks. I'm going to put drivers in them. Or I'm going to buy 2 trucks and lease purchase them out. And on paper it looks good. On paper you're like, okay, this math works and this math works, and if I do this and add this incentive, blah 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 blah. But the number one thing that you're forgetting is the human element. Humans are emotional creatures. That's what separates us from the animals. That's something that everybody forgets. Well, I'm going to start a carrier and bring on, 4 or 5 drivers that have their own trucks. Okay, that platform works well. I mean, Jeffrey likes accomplishing that. But you have to remember the human element. You have to remember, if you got 20 drivers, you got 20 different sets of personalities. You got 20 different people having 100 emotions. You have 20 different people with 20 different business platforms or ideas or plans. And you got to be able to manage that. And so you can't forget the human element. That's the problem. The other day I had to call a driver. We were talking about, I said, hey, I'm calling with my safety hat on. We have to talk about something. So we had a discussion. And then I said, okay, I'm taking the safety hat on. How are you really doing? How are things going for you? Is there anything that we can do for you? And I try to do that with the drivers when I can. Because that's the element, right? That's the element that you have to remember. You can sit there and say, well, if you have 10 drivers, you can do this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter if the numbers work. It only works if you have the right people. And that's the element. And here's the thing. You can give these people everything. Everything that they need to succeed. And they'll be like, they'll still take advantage of you. You have that entitlement, like that Facebook post. So just keep that in mind when you have an idea of hiring workers. You're dealing with a lot of emotions and a lot of risk. As much as I would love to, my wife would hate me, I think. Quick hit, good morning. Fran, good morning. If I'm making 65 cents per mile as a company guy, why would I buy a truck and run for $1.25? A lot of people are asking that question. YouTube give out a lot of wrong info. Yes, that is true. If everyone could go out and buy a truck on their own, the lease purchase model would go away. Where a lease purchase option is good, okay, is you're using somebody else's money to put your business up. And if you're going to trade the truck in every 3 years, then knock yourselves out. In my opinion, it's just my opinion, but there is a purpose to lease. These big banks, they don't own the buildings, they lease the buildings. The like O'Reilly's and their white pickups for parts delivery, they don't own those vehicles, they lease them. Same thing with any fleet vehicle. So you don't want to go $180,000 in debt, you lease the truck. But you just got to read the contract and be sure that you can handle the expenses. Yes, some people don't want to go to the dealer, says Fran. I've been successful from day one, Steve. Yes, you've done very well, and I appreciate the Venmo. Thank you very much. How many positive reviews on lease purchase do we see on YouTube? I can think of one. Shannon's doing all right over here with her truck, but yeah, I don't watch lease purchase people besides her. I did 3 leases before I realized this model doesn't work if you want a life, so I bought my own truck and never went back. There you go, Nathan. If you want to get rich, hire a boatload of refugees. The government will pay to work them. That is true. Go to run the road. I'll be listening. All right, Fran. That person sounds lazy. The Facebook post. Yeah, that post right there is why I have no plans to ever have company drivers for my carrier. Owner ops, yes, but not company drivers. That comes off very entitled. That's the biggest thing. It's entitlement. It's entitlement, that says we deserve X amount per mile. That's not based on any cost or whatever, right? Well, I hate to say this, but that is a common attitude in the LTL segment of trucking. Yes. And look, some people just, here, okay, so as a company driver, here's how I approached it, right? If a light was out, I changed it if I physically could, right? If the APU wasn't working, I would minimize the idling on the truck. Mainly because I was incentivized by fuel bonus. But I wouldn't suffer. I wouldn't like sleep a whole night without running the truck if the APU wasn't working, which, Thermo King, that happened a lot. But, and if there was an issue with the truck, I let him know. If there was a light on, I would let him know. And the company I work for, I've only worked for one company as a company driver. That company took care of the equipment very well. I was the 6 years I was there, I was in 3 new trucks total. And so I always had good equipment. And because it's kind of like, you have to look at it like this. The more you can help your company, the company is more willing to help you. And so when things got tough at home and I need to be home every weekend, they did that for me. And when I needed something, they didn't hesitate. I take that back. There was one hesitation when I needed home because my daughter was in the hospital. And I had to threaten a little bit. Like, look. And it was only around the circumstances. I had a trainee with me. We had just tried to deliver a load of scrap metal that came from Joplin going to, I forget, somewhere in Tennessee near Knoxville. And they rejected the load because they had too much of something in there. And these loads always got rejected, always. And then, but during that trip, my wife calls, hey, our daughter's in the hospital. As soon as you can get home, the sooner you can get home, the better. And so when they rejected the load, I called my dispatcher and said, hey, we're taking this back to Joplin, right? That's usually what happens. We're taking this back up to the yard till you figure this out, right? And they're like, well, let me see what. No, I'm telling you, my daughter's in the hospital and I need to be home. These loads always come back to the yard. You make that decision now. Well, no, I'm not asking you. I'm telling you this truck needs to go back to the yard. And so an hour later, he goes, give me at least an hour. I'm like, okay, in the hour, I'm pushing the brake in and I'm going. And an hour later, he calls up like he's doing me a favor. Yeah, go ahead, bring it on to the yard. Look what we're doing for you. Yeah, screw you. That person's no longer at that company anymore, by the way. And that was one of the few things that made me go, you know what? I need to go to a self-dispatch, owner-op company. So, because that's the circumstance beyond our control. So that's another thing that you have to worry about if we're leasing trucks or putting company drivers in. What if they have something happens at home where there's no leverage? Like there's absolutely no negotiating. There's like no amount of butt kissing that you can give this driver that's going to change that circumstance, right? When I was a kid, mortgage rates were 18.5 to 20% on the flip side. I benefited from bank bonds that paid 20% return. It's how I had a house down payment by age 24. Would our economy been better at high rates? Probably not. The economy's jacked. I'm sorry. If I can fix something myself, I'm going to do it. If I'm a company driver, sorry, I don't like wasting time. OPEC just cut production, get ready for higher fuel prices. Yes, I agree with you, McPote. The reason the person said that is because normal carriers do not compensate the driver for time other than driving that truck. CPM only is not a fair pay structure for a company driver. So the system's jacked, right? And so I understand that attitude. I did not personally have that attitude. There are people that are company drivers that I would put them in a truck in a heartbeat because they take the care of the truck like their own. But at the same time, you do have to compensate. So if the trailer's out, if a trailer light is out and you have to be at the TA to fix it, then the clearance light, not the tail light. Tail lights are easy to fix for the most part. Like Schneider would hand you, the old school bulbs that you can just pop in and pop out. Now the new trailers you can't do that. You got to drill the rivets out, but whatever, But if I have to wait there 6 hours and I miss a load, then yeah, that's a problem, and so the company needs to compensate for that. So if the company values safety on the equipment, they'll pay you. But I know people leaving Schneider because the trailer pool's so jacked up. Same thing that the trucker stable complained about with Landstar on Pale Rider's feed about how these trailers are going to crap and it's costing the owner operators money and time. Well, it does that for company guys as well. So you got to have some kind of incentive to if they don't have the initiative, you got to create the initiative. And do you have the mental strength, the knowledge, the know-how to help a person figure out what they need to do? My bad, I didn't read that post right. Cents per mile is not a fair pay structure. Pittsburgh rush hour, that's got to be good. Keeping a truck off your credit is worth much more than your truck. Bought a lot of real estate off a SFI truck. Yes, that is some. I mean, there are positive lease purchases out there, but you have to read the contract. But but if you feel trapped, if you have no control over your business, if you're dispatched, are you truly in control? We need to appreciate the options we have today, not put people down. Swift had to buy a company first and then buy a truck, and now it's the other way around. I think they are doing it all wrong today. I'm not trying to put people down. I'm just trying to give a different perspective. Cash is king. Good morning. Twitch says good morning from Lexington. Let's see. Oh, and you become an owner operator for $1.25 plus fuel surcharge because we make way more than a company driver. Plus, you have control over your life. Sorry, Siri typing. Mark, what's up? T-Bone. Good morning. I worked at a company that would fly you home if you had a family emergency, and it was really far from home. Yep. And so, if you work for a company like that, to me, it's worth it to wait a couple hours to get a tail light fixed, so you don't get a bad DOT inspection. They're paying the bill. Why not, right? There are roads and locations that beat the crap out of the truck. I would cry if this truck was mine. Horrible infrastructure. Yeah, there are runs that I'll do all day long, but not in my truck. Like someone ever asked me, would you take a load to Alaska for that big money that sometimes is offered? I'm like, nope. I would love to drive to Alaska. I would love to do that. That would be a great experience. But not my truck. Not my truck. Sorry about that. Had to cough up a lung there. My company won't let me make simple repairs. Frustrating to wait hours for a repair I could do in minutes. Yeah, that's a different topic though. It's related, but yeah, that's a different whole. I don't want to go into the weeds of all the different nuances. I was just about to say that, CB. There are a lot of companies like that. Yeah. Um, yeah, because they don't want you to waste time at the TA waiting 3 hours to get something done when you need to pick up that load. And then there's the liability, right? They don't want to have to compensate you for that. So that's why it's important to do the research of the company that you're going to, whether lease, owner, or company. But see, I like Twitch's comment here. I fixed stuff as a company driver simply because if I got pulled into a scale house, the company did not get the ticket. I did. There you go. Million plus mile company driver. You have to be a valuable asset to the company. You take care of them, they'll take care of you. Absolutely, quick hit. I agree with that. SST, what's up? James Clark. I carry several toolboxes. I use them when I can. I don't want to avoid out the warranty. Most work is done through pack lease, anyways. There you go. When a company says they will pay for this, that, where does that money come from, right? So, anyways, let's look at some low board stuff. I didn't get to do that Monday. So, and then Nathan wants Miami. So, if he's still in here, if you're still in here, is it Van that you want out of Miami? Miami Phil, going to anywhere. Let's do Van. Apply. Let's do it for the next 7 days. How's that? Oh, wait. That's not how you do that. Oh, we'll just put any date. There we go. Actually, let's do it for today so we can narrow this down. So you put new search, keep everything, and then you just put, we'll do today, tomorrow, and Friday. Apply. Search. Not a whole lot. Let's look at the highest rated load here. Highest rate. Highest rate is $1.52 going into Jersey. Let me zoom that in a little bit. It's 1,267 miles. Let's look at the shorty. Here's a little paying $8.75 a mile out of Florida. Come on. Wow, that's a lot of money. $350 going 40 miles. Avon Park to Winter Haven, Florida. Let's click on that one for a minute. Is that something you would do? Get you more north. Straight through delivery. That might be worth it. Depending on who the receiver was. Fill in the gap. Here's $2.13 a mile to go to Connecticut, LaBelle, Florida. Picks up today, delivers Friday in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Ray Check and Cargo Chief got it up there north of $2. So if you lived in the Northeast, this might be a good one if you're willing to pay Connecticut's hostage tax. I'm sorry, road tax. Well, it looks like one going to Butler, PA just disappeared. I think it's interesting that they're paying more to go to Connecticut than New Jersey. But this is SPI Logistics. LaBelle, Florida, Bridgeport. I think that's the low we just looked at. All right. We should be back. We should be back. That was dumb. It's kind of weird. My internet goes out, and the only way to solve the problem is restarting the computer. So, but we're back. Here, I'll type in the chat. We back. All right. So hopefully I didn't lose too many people. Internet's still kind of slow. All right. So let's go back to share screen. Gotta love it. Gotta love technology. Technology is so awesome. I need AI to solve all my problems. All right. CDN says I need a commercial to play. Yeah, Sterling does that, but it's hard to do when you're streaming. Just curious if the name reach out that far. He was well known for his racing and building of natural aspirated engines and other things. What name's that? Did I miss something? Oh, quick, I have a question for you. Have you heard the name Paul Brown from Boise, Idaho? It has to do with drag and street racing. Okay, Nathaniel said van. So we were on the right track with this search. So yeah, this computer's awesome. Kinda. I would take the short load if it covered my daily rate, but it would also depend on unload times. Right. That's the thing. So that's why it's important to call the broker and say, hey, what's the story with this? Is this a Publix, DC? What's the average unload time? So and the fine and so here's how YouTube works. Someone might go, I got 875 a mile out of Miami. Yeah, for 40 miles to get more north. And that's not even really that far. I mean, 40 miles is, you know, you, what was the deadhead on that? Is it going to keep you from getting another better load? So it just, there's a different way. And I've got some ideas for a members only page or videos. I'm going to kind of go over some of my dispatch methods. I think that might be cool. Not methods, but just like what a typical day might look like for me. So, but anyways, let's do the hot market map, shall we? Let's look at reefer first. So Nathan, Miami is definitely sketchy, but I would pick a shorty that got you to the southeast. If you can get to southern Georgia, the rates are still pretty good coming out of there. I've got a couple of contacts out there that does good freight out of there. Sick week, normally aspirated class leader Jimmy Lopez just set the record. Okay. From my area, grew up together, boys from the hood. Okay, you guys talk about racing stuff. All right, so this is reefer. Notice Idaho's green. Let's take a look at that. Figure out why. Twin Falls to Economowalk. $1.61 a mile, $1.68. Here's one, $2.43 a mile going to Cheyenne. $17.94 on the overall rate. Cargo Chief's got it at about 2,081. It's been as high as 23 and it's been as low as 18. So they're kind of low. But then you got to look at what's coming out of Wyoming. There's 10 loads coming out of Cheyenne going anywhere. So let's take a look at that. Of course, you got the Fort Collins market that you're in. So this is all coming out of Colorado, which is not too far from Cheyenne there. And then you go right back up to Montana. And then you got this one to Lincoln. That's $1.07. That's got to be a partial. Let's see if that's a partial. If it's not a partial, then shame on them. Beer. Oh, that explains it. They want to pay you $1.07 a mile to haul beer. Here's low going from Greeley to Hiram, Ohio. $1.98 a mile. See what's up with this one. That's a little bit higher. And they got a 4-day transit for 1,300 miles. Doesn't say what it is. 2,600. So they're right about where it needs to be. But look how far ahead that is. That's not until Sunday, right? That's how far some of these are booking ahead. So that might be a contract run, so which is why it might explain there's a little bit more money on that. Broker's got a good contract and it's a good product that needs to move. So they don't mess around with this. I'm going to try to move this for $1 to the cheapest carrier that won't let their company drivers change light bulbs. All right, so sort by rate. Here's $5,000 to go to New Jersey from Burley. $5,000 to go to Massachusetts. There's a few of those. A lot of stuff going northeast. They're putting some money on it. Let's take a look at this one. This Twin Falls to Quakertown, Pennsylvania. Picks up Friday, delivers Monday, right? 13th. Actually, no, it's Tuesday. They're right at the exact rate check. That's funny. Anyways, I'd be curious to know what the product is that's got Idaho on the upswing. Is it potatoes? If Cool Trucking was in here, he could tell us. Arizona, same thing. Watermelons are coming out of the Southwest now. A lot of stuff coming out of Nogales. Phoenix to Jacksonville, $1.45 a mile. They're way below the rate check. 28, rate checks at 33, cargo cheese at 35. Oh, it's a load of beer. Why is beer so cheap? I didn't know beer came out of Tempe. Beer's bad for you anyways. Oh, here we go. 7,100 to go to Florida. Pompano Beach, Florida. They're way above the average. Multi-stop, possibly. Check pickup date for load dates. Picks up today, delivers Friday. Depending on the circumstance, that would be a good run. Depending on what time you get out of Pompano Beach. That's it's gonna be South Florida though. So then you're dealing with. But if you live in Florida, this would be a great run. That's probably the highest rate I've seen in a while. 7,100. There's 33 to go to Iowa, Norwalk, Iowa. And this particular broker had freight coming out of Norwalk. Picks up today, delivers Friday 8 a.m. 1,400 miles. That's hard running right there. Depending on how fast they get you loaded. And they're at 33, which is even higher than Cargo Chief. Green Screens has it at 44, but that was probably at the peak. So that's Arizona for you. Let's take a look at Missouri, see what kind of reefer rates we're getting out of Missouri. Joplin and Mount Juliet. These look like van rates, by the way. Oh, van or reefer, that's why. Okay. Pet products. So, yeah, that's a dog food plant out of Joplin, Blue Diamond. That's not a bad run. Mount Juliet, I forget who the customer might be. That might be Walmart. I could be wrong. Let's see, stuff coming out of Columbia, Earth City. That's going to be St. Louis to Salem, Oregon for $1.59. Wow. Let's see. A lot of stuff going Pacific Northwest for less than $2 a mile. But see, they know that you're going to get it out though because of all these different, states that have produce. But sometimes it doesn't work that way. Idaho's good, but Washington and Oregon are so soft that a lot of times that doesn't really equate to better rates. Here we go. Carthage to Lafayette, Louisiana, 3,000, or I'm sorry, 2,318 a mile. Let's take a look at this. Picks up today, delivers tomorrow. See, no description. Grocery products. That's a tough run to do in a day too. 628 miles. So depending on what time that delivery time is, I've done that stretch of road. It is not easy. It is not an easy run, especially if you're heavy. What's the weight on this? 41. Yep. Yeah, US 65 ain't no joke. Let's look at van. Arizona is also green in van. Let's see what's going on here. Sort by rate. 4,600 to go to New York City. You got several of those. Let's take a look at one of those. £20,000. Yeah, look how high it was at one time. It was $7,100 at one point. Cargo Chiefs got it at 47, so they're not too far from that. They expect you to negotiate. Oh, it's exhibit material, so who knows what situation you're going to be put in New York City. So buyer beware on that one. And you got to look at your net and the time involved. It looks like it picks up on the 16th at 7 a.m., which is Monday, and then delivers at 6 a.m. on the 22nd. They give you 4 days, really give you 3 to do 2,400 miles. Yeah. Good luck. So, anyways, that's what van looks like. Let's take a look at flatbed and step deck. And I'll get to the comments. Here's Oregon. See what Oregon's going on. Oregon seems to always be green in the flatbed world. Let's see, 5,900 to go from Glendale, Oregon to Jessup, Pennsylvania. Which I would rather do this Oregon load to Hammond, Louisiana, because this area is hotter. The southeast is hotter for flatbed. Yeah, it's a lower revenue, but you don't have any tolls. Your fuel's going to be cheaper. And if you're going by rate per mile, it's actually a better rate per mile. If you're going by rate per day, well, that depends on the timing of everything. So there's your flatbed coming out of Oregon. Let's take a look at Georgia. You get 6,400 to go right back up to Oregon. So you can get pretty much equal amounts per mile to go back and forth. So it might be a good lane. That's kind of how I look at that. If you can get money both directions, that's the name of the game. They're at 64. The Cargo Chiefs got at 61. They got some money on this one. Oh, hot shot. Strap and go, 10,000 pounds building material. So 212 a mile for a hot shot, that's pretty dang good, I think. What do I know? I'm kind of idiotic sometimes. All right. Dalton, Georgia to Salem, Oregon. 239 a mile, 6,100. They're way above the Cargo Chief. 47,000 pounds. Greenstreams has it as high as 82 and as low as 66. So, but the rate check's at 54, so it's all over the place. So, that's Axle Logistics too. So, that's what. Let's look at Florida since it's green here. Let's see what's going on here. They're around $2 a mile. Well, here's one for $1.16 to go all the way to California. Oh, LTL. Okay, I see why. You could probably build a load. That's the thing with flatbed is you can build multiple loads. Van is a little bit more difficult, but that could be some money. Must have straps and tarps to secure product, of course. Who would show up with a flatbed without those things? The fact that they have to put that on there just shows, that someone actually tried to do that. Driver must not have no felonies, warrants, or they will be refused on site. Driver must back in, no enclosed vehicles, no dock, must notify. So let me tell you about it. It says aerospace parts. I've actually picked up a machine from an aerospace plant. I had to give them my dash cam. I had to give them my cell phone. They checked my truck for weapons, which at the time I didn't have any. And then there's one time I delivered to an ammo plant, and they actually did a background check while you wait. So basically, you go in, you park, security checks you in, they search your truck. Like, this is actually one of the 2 times in 14 years that someone actually got in my truck and searched it and said, okay, what do you have here? I said, well, I have this knife that I use to cut meat with. I have this tire thumper. Like, okay, we're not worried about those. We're worried about that laptop. So bring the laptop with you and go inside the office. They'll put it in a locker, and then they're going to do a background check on you. And I asked them, what their procedure would be for firearms, and they told me, and all that. And it took like an hour just to check in because they had to do a background check. And then I delivered my brass or whatever I had, and that was it. But they don't want any dash cams. I had to take it off, because they don't want anybody like, look. They didn't take my cell phone away, but if you got caught with your cell phone, you would get kicked out. So you gotta be careful of stuff like that. Let's see. Oh, I missed a bunch of comments here. Hold on. Look for a good load out of Bowling Green, Kentucky, picking up tomorrow, flatbed. Okay, give me a minute here. John, good morning. California rates for van. Let's do that real quick. Well, let's look at Bowling Green. Well, okay, so let's just do this. Let's do Bowling Green. And then we'll look up McPoats deal. Whoops. Anywhere. Next 3 days. Oh, for tomorrow? Is that what it was? Picking up tomorrow. So let's do doink. And then flatbed. 150-mile radius. There you go. Here's the load I would do right here. Morgantown, Kentucky, 21 miles away, going to Greensboro, Georgia. They're at 1250, 303 a mile. It's tarp. Pallets of aluminum. And then look at the rates. Look how many loads are coming out of Georgia. 580 loads coming out of Greensboro. That's why I would do that load. Somebody else obviously thought the same thing because it's no longer available. Let's see. Let's look at what the highest rate is going for here. You get 4,200 to go to Utah. Grand Forks, 336 a mile, 3480. 3,300 to go to Silver City, New Mexico, which I wouldn't recommend unless you live there. 2,400 to go to Houston. Houston's another good spot. Let's take a look at that one. 12 plates. But look how many loads are coming out of Houston. Well, there's not as many as Georgia, but 78 loads coming out of Houston. So I don't know what the rates are. We won't get into the weeds on that one. And then he wants California rates for van. Okay, so let's go to load availability. Let's do van. Let's take a look at California. All right, so if we sort this by rate, now if you do rate per mile, it's going to give you all the short stuff. If you do rate, it's going to give you the revenue. Let's see, $1.79, $1.97. See, I'd be more apt to do this one going to Georgia than the one paying less going to Massachusetts. That's not a good load right there. PA. So you're looking at $1.80, $1.83, $2.08 a mile to go to Georgia. Worldwide Express. Compressor cores. They're way above everything, so there's got to be something to that load. Wonder if it's multiple stop. Or it's a scam. I haven't really heard a whole lot about scamming or double brokering off the 123. DAT is littered with it. DAT is littered with it. It was interesting watching their live feed yesterday, and people were bringing that up, and they were kind of like, "Yeah, we're doing everything we can." That was it. It's like, "Yep, you're the reason why brokers are creating their own platforms because they can't trust you anymore." So $1.80, $1.50. Oh, here's your load, $12.18 a mile going to Phoenix. Yeah, that's got to be either a multi-stop round trip or a typo. Picks up at 6 a.m. today. Might be late. Delivers Friday at 7 a.m. Only 312 miles. Straight box truck, lift gate. So that's what it is. It's a lift gate load. That's why. That's why it pays so well. Niagara on the Lake, Ontario. You can go to Canada and visit all them weird Canadians. 3,800, 1,000 pounds insulation. Idaho is yogurt, cheese, and potatoes. I would go up to Colony, Wyoming for a reload out of Cheyenne. There you go. Greeley is JBS beef load. Okay. Is that $1.35 a good rate for owner operator with paid off equipment, basically no overhead? That depends on that person. My buddy ran a load from somewhere near Bakersfield to Florida for $7,900. There you go. We have been having wildfires up north in Michigan. Yeah, north is on fire. Thomas says we're holding at $3 a mile there on that contract stuff. James G, good morning. The longer I live, the more I realize the rooster wakes up early screaming. Needs to delivery Friday. But all right, so that's it. Been doing this for an hour. I have a video coming out tomorrow morning. A recorded video. It's off of one of these live feeds, but it was a recorded video. I'm sure not. I forget what I was yelling about. Oh yeah, it's me talking to you. It's not an interview with like CDN. Although I've got a few more of those coming up, so I got to work on them today, guys. A strength for today, for tomorrow. It's doable. Money can still be made. You just got to be smart. Don't let people take advantage of you, and be on your A game. So with that being said, thanks for watching, and we'll see you Friday morning. So with that being said, man, my timing's off. With that being said, strength for today, hope for tomorrow, and I can't find the video for the outro. Man, I'm lame. There we go. Peace.